Hi, I'm Jed Grant, founder of KYC3. There have been some interesting developments lately with respect to unregulated funds and their anti-money laundering programs. It's very interesting to see that unregulated funds are becoming more and more regulated and have serious responsibilities that they must respect. What's also very interesting is to see the amazing volume of fines that have been handed out worldwide by regulators. There's more than $3 billion in fines in just the last 2 months that I've found in a very quick and simple search of the press. I'm sure the number is actually much greater than this. So if you look at what needs to be done in your compliance program, you really have to do all of these things. You have to get the fundamentals right. You have to have a proper customer identification. You need to do your due diligence. You need to do your monitoring. And you have to have proper audit and reporting. And that applies to regulated and unregulated funds. In Luxembourg, it's very interesting that the unregulated funds don't report to the CSSF, but they report to the Administration des Domaines, the office normally known for value-added tax collection. But this also comes from the pressure that we're seeing comes from reviews that have been done by the CSSF. And if you look at what the CSSF has done, they did a review in 2020, which they published a little over a year ago. And in this review, they noted very clearly that the risk analysis was incomplete of these fund managers, and that they have to take better appropriate steps to identify and assess the money laundering and terrorist financing risks that their products and the geographies and the investors that they deal with entail. And that's typically where your risk comes from, those three factors. So they also found that there is very weak oversight when the funds are outsourced, when they've outsourced whole or parts of their portfolio management function. So it is important to remember that while you can outsource work, you cannot outsource the responsibility and for the AML and terrorist financing program that you have to run. So you do have to maintain good and effective oversight of your outsourced partners. They've also seen that there was a weakness in the risk-based approach. And this means that you have initial and ongoing due diligence requirements that you have to pay attention to. So it's not enough just to control an investor at the time of onboarding or to review a target's management at the time of making the investment. You have to continually monitor that. And you have to carry out an analysis of the risk posed by your investments for each investment and manage that risk over time. And they also found that there are weaknesses in the name screening on target financial sanctions on investments. So it is important that you screen all the names in order to ensure that none of the counterparties or none of the parties involved in the investments are involved or sanctioned individuals that are undesirable and illegal to do business with. It's also important to note that if you transact in the United States or you transact in US dollars, that you are also subject to US OFAC sanctions law, and you have an obligation to screen against the United States sanctions lists as well. This is typically an activity that has to be done every day as these lists change on a very frequent basis. Now, if we look at the AED and what is required for funds in Luxembourg, it's at pfi.public.lu, and you can see that they have a questionnaire that has to be completed once a year. It's in Excel and has to be provided to the AED to explain to them how the fund is actually approaching these issues, these deficiencies that the CSSF has identified, and in order to confirm to them that the proper AML program is being operated by the fund. And they also have a form that's required to declare the RR and the RC for each form. The RR is the responsable du respect des obligations, and that's why it's called RR, because of the French name. And the RC is the responsable du contrôle du respect des obligations. So the RR is the individual who's charged with respecting the compliance of the AML obligations, and the RC is the person who is responsible for ensuring that this work is being done. They are controlling the respect of the obligations. This is a very simple form. It's a PDF. You can download it right here on the website. They also have a FAQ, and it needs to be filled out to declare the individuals. And it must be transmitted if those individuals change. So if a person leaves, you have to do it in a very timely manner. You have to submit an updated form. And it is also important to note that they require the appointment of both an RR and an RC for every alternative investment fund. So that's a quick overview of the requirements that have come out and that have been there for a while, but are now going to be pushed very hard. In order to make that easy, it's very good to take an approach where you have the right tooling that lets you manage all of the inherent risk and to do those functions automatically. For example, to screen against sanctions, PEP, every day, and to manage your documentation and ensure that you have all of the required information about the investors at your fingertips so it can be easily reported to auditors or the authorities. And that's exactly what we do. We provide software for alternative investment funds that allows you to manage the inherent risk as well as improve your control effectiveness and be very efficient. So you don't have to hire more people to comply with this. You simply have to have the right tools. If you like this video, subscribe to this channel, watch the full video on our website, join us on Twitter or on LinkedIn, and head over to kyc3.com so you can see if you're a good fit and get a price. We'd love to have a chat with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.